Yo, what's going on, family? Welcome back to the Make a Buck with a Truck podcast. It's your boy Big Mike right back at you. And as promised, Freight Fridays, baby. And where we teach you how to become a freight dispatcher, independent freight dispatcher. And as I told you, I do have a freight dispatching course, which you can be a part of. But I'm going to give you all this information for free, okay? The course is just a little bit more intricate, but I promise you, when you get finished with all of this information, week by week, you will be able to go in and become a freight dispatcher, okay? Strictly on your own. All right. So now let me explain to you. I told you last week that we're going to talk about supply chain. But before we get into the supply chain, I have to tell you who's involved within this supply chain. Okay. So the supply chain starts from the conception of a product all the way to the end result of that product. Okay. So I do steel. So let's talk about steel. So let's talk about scrap metal being sent to the manufacturer melting it down, then it's formed into steel beams or steel bars or whatever it is, and then it's shipped to another manufacturer who's going to manufacture, just say for steel bars, drive shafts for trucks and cars. Okay, so they manufacture the drive shaft, and then it's shipped again to the car manufacturer. Then the car manufacturer builds the car and it's shipped again to the dealership. Okay, so think about that. That thing has been shipped more times than you can even think. Getting the raw material starts the supply chain, to delivering the car finishes the supply chain. And you can be a part of each step of this process. All right, so think about it. From the getting the raw material shipped to the steel manufacturer, you can be a part of that. You can be in the middle of that. All right, to the steel bar manufacturer shipped to the drive shaft company, you can be a part of that. From the drive shaft manufacturer shipped to the car manufacturer, you can be a part of that. From the car manufacturer shipped to the dealership, you can be a part of that. So you can fit yourself in each part of this process, navigating and negotiating the deals and logistics of all of it as a freight dispatcher, okay? Because you're going to work directly with the carrier. If the truck don't move, the freight don't move. You got to make sure that the truck moves. Now let's get into the people that are involved within this, okay? You have the shipper, the broker, the freight dispatcher and the carrier, and then the receiver, okay? The shipper procures a broker. The broker procures a carrier, which has a freight dispatcher. That's you. That's where you come in. And then you have the receiver. Okay. So what happens is that the broker has to get carriers to move the freight. All they are is just a middleman between the shipper and the carrier getting the freight moved. But as a freight dispatcher, you handle pretty much all the logistics of it. All the broker is going to give you is a place to pick it up and a place to deliver it. You're going to say, okay, carrier, this is what we have to do. We have to pick up at this place at this time, delivering to this place at this time on this date. Okay? So you get in the middle of it and making sure that your carrier makes money, and that's how you make your money. Okay? Your carrier makes $5,000 a week. At 7%, you make $350 off of that carrier, that one carrier. All right, so I'm going to keep reiterating that to you all so you understand. Okay, now let me tell you the difference between a freight dispatcher and a broker. Okay, a broker works with the shipper and they have to have a license because they, in essence, are taking that freight, taking control of that freight in order for it to be moved. Okay, the carrier has to have a license because they are a part of taking control of that freight to make sure that is moved, to move it from place to place. The freight dispatcher does not have to have a license because he works directly for the carrier. And he or she gets in the middle of this and they make sure that they help the carrier get there safely, communicate between the broker and the carrier so the carrier has one job to do instead of 5. And as a freight dispatcher, you'll come in and offer assets to this carrier where you can be able to work on his behalf to make his job easier. Believe me, y'all see I'm still in a truck. Driving this truck is not easy every day. So I have a dispatcher who tells me where to go pick up, what to pick up, what time, on what date, and where to deliver to, what time, what date, and that it needs to be done. Now, When I send my paperwork in, I get paid. My dispatcher gets paid. It's that simple. Okay. Now, as a dispatcher, you don't have to have a license because you work directly for the carrier. And then what happens is that you can protect yourself and you can have a freight dispatcher agreement with the carrier that states that I'm going to provide these services for you, whether it be back end offices, getting loads, negotiating with brokers, sending you the load, accepting your PODs, and sending it off to the factoring company for you to get paid, or invoicing the broker for your 30, 60, or 90-day payment. Okay, so that's where you come in as a freight dispatcher. You're going to handle all the back end office parts, and you're going to handle getting the freight, negotiating with the broker in order for it to go directly to the carrier for him to be able to move the freight. Okay, now the broker also has to have a $75,000 surety bond, which means that he has to have $10,000 liquid in the bank and be able to prove that, and a BOC3. The BOC3 is a person that, in case anybody gets sued, they'll know who to serve to make sure that the carrier or the broker gets the lawsuit paperwork. Okay, but as a freight dispatcher, you protect yourself by having a legitimate company, LLC, and a freight dispatcher carrier agreement. All right, that's how you protect yourself. Okay, and so that's pretty much the supply chain, y'all. When you get in that part of it, you can see where you can fit yourself in. Where can you stand out among anybody else? Can I negotiate with the broker well? Am I organized? Am I smart? Am I intelligent? Which I know all of you are. And you can do this. You can stay organized. You can negotiate. You can speak well. You can handle the computer. Then guess what? You can become a freight dispatcher. Just like that. And involve yourself in each part of this supply chain. If you know somebody that ships raw materials, get in the middle of that so that you can have more freight for your carrier. Develop relationships with these brokers. I got a load today that didn't even hit the load board. It came directly from a broker, directly to the company, and we moved the freight. It's that simple. Okay? It didn't even hit the load board. So a lot of these brokers, if you develop a relationship with them and show them that you're good at, your carrier is responsible and you're good at handling business for your carrier, guess what? You ain't got to worry about going on the load board looking for nothing. They'll call you and tell you, hey, I got a load. Can you move it for me? And guess what? You'll have your carrier to move that freight, and the freight is higher value freight, and you'll get paid more money. Just that simple. I'm saying my top grossing week was $13,000. Put yourself at $10,000 on that at 10% on that $13,000. If you was brokering for me, I'm saying you'd have made $1,300 real sweet. Okay, but like I said, 10% is on the higher end. The lower end, we don't go no lower than 4%. All right, we want to keep reiterating that to you, the amount of money that you can make and the percentages that you need to keep in value of. Okay, so that's the supply chain for this week, y'all. Do your research, study, be diligent in your efforts, and get yourself ready, because we're gonna go. Hey, this has been the Make a Buck with a Truck podcast. Make a buck with a truck, and we out.